Hi there, it's Joseph here at Edge Dynamics, and I'm making a honing video with finishing on an Arkansas stone, just to show you how I use them, and I get to show off these stones. So I'll show you. First up, I've got hard, it says genuine, I'm sure you can read, genuine hard Arkansas stone. It's got really rough strop on top, and they're all the same size, these stones. They're all 12 inches, 3 inches and 1 inch. And yeah, I mean, this is conditioned and ready to go, but I've got next to no experience with this. I've played around a little bit with it, but I'm not sure what to do with it. I think it's more for tools than it is for razors, and it's handmade American, or American handmade, and I guess this was an old firm, New Jersey, hardwood products. And here's another American handmade, and this one is a genuine surgical black Arkansas stone. The leather strap on this one was really worn and dirty, so I replaced it and gave it that stunning logo on top. These boxes, I've just in the last couple of weeks restored these, because not restored them, just spruced them up or customized them, because it's just pine, which is fine, but I sanded them back and used a teak stain, oil based teak stain, and then finished it with hard wax oil. And I've added these magnets as well, which turned out to be a little bit more complicated than I thought, but they've done. And here's the stone. This one, it's got a little bit of marbling. Great results from this stone. They're all easy to use for myself. So that's that stone. And then coming in third place, I've got, I think these are my favourites. These are the Hall's Pro Edge sharpeners. This one's surgical black, and I do enjoy this stone. That is just my handprints where I've been handling this. But this one is it's just jet black, and when I use it, it turns really dark. But yeah, it's a beautiful stone, this one is, and again, get great edges from this. So there's only one thing better than a 12-inch surgical black, and that is two 12-inch surgical blacks. So I am greedy. And then finally we've got the star of the show probably, which is some other Halls. These are all vintage, by the way, translucent, and again, amazing results from this. Really easy to use. It slopes off a little bit down here, but it's a killer stone. It's got maybe an internal fissure or something there, but yeah, I love this stone. How can you not? It's just something to look at. And one day I will measure the density of these stones. They are all really heavy, but we'll probably use this one today. But that's it really, I just wanted to show them off. So I've got this Solingen razor. I don't know what I was saving it for, but it had some wax on it, which I've near enough removed. And I've just actually taken this to the workshop and repinned it, so now it centres nicely. It was just, it's coming close to the left edge here, not on the way down when it got halfway down, but that means when you open it there was a little pinging noise when it was touching the edge, so we couldn't have that. And now it centres nicely. I mean, that's 100% centering now, so that's perfect. And I've honed this before. I may have made a shave video with it, I think I have, and I'm assuming I would have used, because it was a while ago, I would have used 88 tape, and nowadays I don't use 88, so we might have to do a bit of work to make sure we're back on the edge. Let's put some oil on it. This is just plastic, I think. Yeah, it's just all plastic. It's got quite a sharp edge on the spine, which means it's going to wear through this tape quite easily, which really means we're kind of honing without tape. I'm a little bit worried about this shoulder here. It's quite sharp, but I won't have to worry about that actually till later. We'll sort that out later. Okay, so we go with the Kramer 1K. Which is my favourite 1K. I won't get a slurry on the go. And even though I do this every time I hone, I start with a slurry and I work like this with this DMT plate, it still dishes. I mean, it doesn't keep the stone flat. I still have to lap it, and it's quite surprising how badly it's dished when I do lap it. But obviously I don't lap it often, but when I do, it really needs it. So let's see how this is like a paper thin grind on this. It's going to take a bit of work, and all I'm doing really is concentrating on the heel. Yeah, so I'm not going to get to this. I was worried about this like secondary shoulder, but I won't even get there because the first shoulder is where it hits the stone. But it's quite boring, this, for the viewers obviously. But I don't use, I mean, you guys know, watch my videos, I don't use any pressure. Especially when you've got like razors with flexible edges. Don't want to be pushing down on that anyway. and we'll check in a minute, see how close, see if we're reaching the edge. But you can just see from the undercut what's going on really. But I'm not in the most comfortable of positions because I've got a camera, I've got the table in a certain way, so it's a little bit awkward. But we're making a film here. You can see now actually getting the I'll just work on the middle, and then the tail. I'm kind of doing this business, but really slightly. Even though this is a really thin grind and a paper thin edge, it is German steel, vintage German steel, which makes it tough. But something that I've never seen talked about really. Excuse me. Is basically how much work you have to do. Because what I tend to see is people doing too much work. But this from my perspective. So I mean, it's just the way I see things, but definitely I see people doing too much work, and you should, the way I hone is that I do the amount of work required for that steel. And I'm not talking about, sometimes you see it says on websites, or certain people say that you know, a certain stone for a certain type of steel, depending on the steel. I think it even probably says that on my website, but that's not really true. You can give me any steel and any hone, and I can hone it. I don't need a particular hone for a particular type of steel, but what I do need is a certain amount of work for a certain steel. And all steel is tough, really, apart from the really soft vintage, the malleable stuff, the cast steel. But all other steels are all, compared to that, they're all really strong and tough. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I will figure out from honing a razor, from looking under the microscope, from looking at the Kasumi, the speed of the Kasumi appearing, the HHT, everything. These are all indicators that will help me understand the strength of the steel of that particular razor. I'm not saying Swedish steel, that particular razor that I'm honing. And once I've got a good read on that, then I can hone it really well, because I know exactly how much work to do. If you've got a razor, this is something I've seen over the years, is that people will own a razor and then they'll shave with it, and it could be better, it's not quite there, so they'll say that it needs a bit more work. It needs a bit more work on this, or I'll try this, or basically I think they've passed the point of no return, because they've done too much work. So doing more work to try and fix an edge is not going to work. You've got to come back to the beginning. If you finish your razor and it's not shaving very well, start again and do 50% of the work. That's my honest advice. Don't add more work on top of it, because you've got a serrated edge there. I mean, it's all serrated, obviously, it depends how closely you look, but for comfort wise it's too serrated, and there's no more work you could do to that razor to make that any better. You've done too much already. So you should come back to the 1K, reset the bevel and do a lot less work, see how that works for you. And then if that doesn't work, then you know I'm wrong. But we've got to the edge here, and we're honing up a little bit there. It's the way the grind is, I'm afraid. So what we do is, the reason I do this as well is I can feel for any imperfections, and I think we're good on that. The tape would have worn through because of that sharp edge. Yeah, the tape has gone through, so we're basically honing without tape, although I'm still going to use tape. Right, fresh tape. I've killed the edge, just got water. I'm just going to work the edge till I see the water coming up on the edge how I want it to. That's good. And then I'm going to give it the gentlest, just to join it, remove any serrations hopefully, and hopefully that's it. But I have to have a look under the scope and see what it looks like on the apex, or the side of the apex. It's just a fraction toothy, just a fraction. So let's try that again. We'll do 2 laps, and it's got to look good, and it's got a pop palm hair, so we'll see how it looks. Yeah, that's yep, that's perfect. So if it pops hair, then we're good. Yep, it's deadly. It's like super. It's just the edge is so yeah, look, I don't even have to just, yeah, that's so this, so far this should be an amazing edge, because it looked really good under the microscope. It's deadly sharp, and that's off the 1K. So now we're going to go to the 5K. This is my favourite stone. Could well be my favourite stone. For feedback wise, I don't think there's anything natural or synthetic better than this. It's just like smooth mud. Take a bit of slurry. So we've got that razor all the way to the edge. As I said, it was honed before with 88 tape, so it would have been a little bit would have been a little bit higher at the spine. And just do some work. I'm just going to do some work what I think would be enough. Didn't really create too much slurry there, but and then just going to join it again. And then go with water. Let me just do 6. And then we go with the 10k. So we've gone 1.5. And this is the 10. And we just make sure we've got perfect, a nice finish on this stone. This, I just go, don't want any slurry there. Just do 8 laps. 1, 2. And yeah, we're ready for the arc. So I've got the translucent, I've got the razor honed up to a 10k, and we've put on fresh tape on the spine. Basically I want to jack it up as high as I can. I mean, I don't want to make a micro bevel, but I've got fresh tape, so it's just, you know, a slight increment, bumped it back up a little bit, so we should be getting to the edge on this. And I've put some tape over here because I don't want this shoulder to hit on this. I don't want metal hitting stone, basically, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what I tend to use is, what I always use is glycerin and water, and put some water down, and this is 50-50 or 60-40, or and I'm not shy with this stuff. I like to use a load, and the way that I do this is the way I look at things is that this stone is super fine and it's going to refine my edge, and it's going to take a long time. Doing this, I'll be here forever. So what I'm going to do is this, and I'm trying to use as little pressure as possible, so zero pressure. I mean, I don't want to be going that way, it's doing no good for me, but I have to go that way obviously to come this way, so it's just the way it is. But I'm trying to keep it level. And what you've got to remember as well is that when you come in this way, the faster you come in this way, the more of a natural torque will occur. So you are kind of using a bit of torque even though I don't want to. And this is the way that I get really noticeable edges. I get edges that you can tell it's been on an arc. I mean, you can really feel it on your face. It's very sharp and refined, and a noticeable difference. So again, I'm not sitting in the best position here to do this, because I normally come at it side on, but I've got to film this obviously, so but I do nice long strokes like this, and I do this until I can't do it anymore, until my arm hurts and I've had enough. So it's not a pleasant experience, to tell you the truth, but it's not about that, is it? It's about getting an amazing edge. It's not about daydreaming. And although it's very nice to do this, I must admit. It's got kind of it's got its own noise, hasn't it? It's got its own sound effects. But to get the most out of it, we're going to be doing this. And I'll also be doing a tiny bit of this, lifting it. Not lifting it off, it's just a pressure thing, because I mean, I even strop like that as well. You know, I look after different parts of the blade when I'm honing and stropping. And this should be a killer edge. I would expect it to be. I will test it in my next shave video. But as I say, the more you can do this, the faster you can do it, the more you can do, the more strokes. And that's how you get the most out of Arkansas stone. And I guess in theory you could just do this all day and get the same effects, in theory. But I mean, I've honed like this on an arc, and I've honed like this on an arc, and this way it's really noticeable, as I said, the effects of the stone. on the edge. And another thing as well with the Arkansas, what I found as well, it's the same like an Escher and the same like a Coticule, as in it's not worth looking under the loop or the microscope at the end. I mean, I wouldn't go there because it looks horrific, but it goes to show that, you know, it doesn't really matter what you see. Alright, it does in some circumstances, but basically this stone does not make an edge look good. But it's not about looks. So now my arm's starting to hurt, my bicep. And this is why I'm taping this, because I don't want to bang up. It's just sliding straight over now because of the tape. I don't want to bang the shoulder into the corner of the stone. But if you've got an Arkansas stone, try this technique and see what you think. Basically, the more you can do and the longer you can do it for, better, I'd say. So we'll stop there. We'll just do some X's, just out of respect. And then we'll come back, we'll do a HHT. Give this a strop, and I gave it 40 on the canvas and 50 on the leather, and let's see if we're popping there. Yeah, that's perfect. I've just done 3. I don't want to do any more, push my luck and start confusing things, but one thing you notice there is how far out I was to pop the hair. If I have to come this close within millimeters to pop the hair, then that's no good. There has to be some distance there. But anyway, in saying that, it's a full hollow, it's like, and it's a paper thin edge, so you're going to get an excellent HHT regardless. We have to shave with it to find out, but that's the end of the video. Thanks.